Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the White Belt MMA podcast, and it's an absolute pleasure to have on the show again UFC Flyweight Miranda Maverick, who set the fight at UFC 278 against Shanna Young. And Miranda, it's been a while. So how you been?
I've been great. I'm really excited to finally have a fight booked. Now, of course, there's hype for another one even after that, but I'm focused on the fight at hand at UFC 278, I think it is. Against Shanna. I fought her before, and I'm excited to fight her again and hopefully challenge myself.
Yeah, 100%. And you said it there, right? It's a rematch. You fought her in Invicta. So, what came through your mind when that fight offer came through and you saw her name again? And you're like, oh, familiar face.
Yeah, I agreed right away. I've been agreeing to people left and right. I've had so many fighters offered in the last few months, and I always say yes, and they always say no. So I even told my manager and my coaches, I was like, I said yes, but let's not get our hopes up. She's not going to accept the fight. Because I was like, well, she already lost to me pretty quickly, pretty dominantly last time. I've improved a lot since then, but she came back. It took a while. It was like a day and a half, but she came back, said yes, and we got the contract signed. And I was like, wow, I'm impressed. Let's go. I don't know if she thinks she's just improved a lot or doesn't think I did. I don't know, but I'm really excited to see what she can bring to the table. It might be a contract thing too, where they were like, you take this fight, we'll book you again. If not, too bad.
Yeah, 100%. And in your mind, right? Do you think that she's, kind of worried about especially the way that the first fight went, right? It was pretty quick. You got in a rear naked choke, first round. So do you think that's weighing on her mind a little bit, especially knowing, when she signed that contract? And plus, it's been years, so both of you guys are different fighters, but you think that still weighs on her?
It should be if it's not.
Yeah.
I think it definitely should weigh on her. And back then I had zero striking, right? I shouldn't say zero, but I was not near as good as I am now at my striking. I remember I went to throw a kick and she threw a punch at the same time, and I fell down, and she rushed in to try to finish me, even though it was more of a off balance, right? And when she did that, I just took her right down and fought for a second to get her onto the ground, took her back and finished her. And maybe she thinks her wrestling defense is good enough where if she doesn't put herself in that position, she'll be okay. But I see it going where I'm going to beat her on the feet. I'm going to beat her at wrestling. I'm going to beat her against the cage. I think the only thing she'll have on me is height. And I don't think that's going to help her at all.
Yeah, 100%. And, just selfishly, I have to ask this question. Does it feel good to actually just have a camp for just one fight? Because, that night was 3 fights, right? 3 fights on one night?
Yeah.
So,
I'm glad I have a specific opponent, and I'm glad that I finally have not a short notice fight, which is what the Aaron Blanchfield and the Sabina Maza one were less than 4 weeks. So I'm really excited to have a full camp for this one, beginning to end. I was training before that too to help Lauren Murphy with her fight, and Katrina Lehner, who got her toe hurt, or she would have been in the last Invicta. So I've been just back to back in fight camps basically for my training partners, and now here I'm finally in my own, which is great.
Yeah, 100%. And I kind of did want to touch upon that, right? I've seen you talk about being a training partner for Lauren Murphy, especially getting ready for Miesha Tate. So how did it feel, seeing Lauren, put on such an awesome performance like that against a legend in the sport?
I was so proud of her, but I also, there's the little part of me inside that was happy for myself too, because I've been basically pretending to be Miesha for the last 2 months. I stood orthodox, which I'm a southpaw traditionally, but I stood orthodox and sparred like that for 3 months in a row and was doing pretty good. Was showing and putting on a wrestling performance every single day in the cage. And we were just really pushing it. And I was trying to get better too, so that I could be like Miesha and bring everything to Lauren that I thought I could. And according to her, I was a harder partner than Miesha was in the fight. So I hope that's true. And it gives me confidence moving forward as well.
Yeah, 100%. And, moving forward, right? Like I said, we're not looking past Shayna, but man, your name's been in the news, and especially with UFC London over the past weekend, your name got brought up. So you originally called out Molly McCann a couple months ago in a respectful way. And you still called her out in a respectful way, but her response was a little different, right? You know what I mean? A little different. As opposed, it's again, I'm gonna bleep it out, but she says,
"No, you're good."
Yeah,
you're good.
So
I think everybody's seen it.
Yeah. It's like one of those things. It's like I don't want to say it, but then it's that you came up with a funny remark right after that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
again,
yeah.
just tell us about how the process of calling her out came about, and
Yeah.
yeah, after that, tell us about like if everything goes well against Shayna,
Mhm.
what's your next move? When do you want to
Yeah.
fight Molly if that fight happens? Yeah.
Well, when it came about, she had just got done doing her first spinning elbow. Can't remember her opponent's name, but did it against more of a striking fighter. And I didn't think it was the best performance in the world. I'd say that Molly, a good word to describe her, is a brawler, right? She doesn't seem that technical to me. She has her spinning elbow, like whoop-de-doo. She gets it against the cage or when the opponent's surprised. But the opponent she's gotten that on, the opponent she's got handed the last couple fights, I don't see as that high caliber. And someone could say that like maybe Sabina was mine, but I fought top 15 girls pretty much my whole career in the UFC. Molly, has been in the UFC for a while and nobody's really heard of her until these past two fights, and I think it's just because of the hype of the UK. UFC likes having somebody in the UK to support, especially for these London cards. And her and Patty are the perfect people to do that with. But it's time she gets some real competition. And so I was respectfully like, I think that would be a good fight. Both of our stylistically, I think it'd be a fun fight from both of us. Both of us staying in that range, having good striking, being ready to put on a firefight. And so I called her out in that fashion. And she took a fight against Hannah Goldie, who I like Hannah just fine, but she's a 115er and she's lost like 3 of her last 4. Right. I was like, that's not a good fight to even have on a flyweights record. That should mean really nothing. And so I thought Hannah looked semi decent in that fight against her too, which is just to me not saying much for Molly, right? Which of course I get all this hate from all these UK fans and stuff, which whatever, I'm gonna get hate no matter what I say. But then she got asked about it from Gabriel Gonzalez, who had previously interviewed me, and her response was humorous at best, right? I think a little bit of it was that howler drink that she was having before that. I think she was a little drunk, but I think she kind of stuck her foot in her mouth, and instead of saying "I'll f you up," it was just "I'll f you wherever and whenever you want." And I'm like, all right. So I got out of training on Sunday. I was doing an open mat, and I looked at my phone, and I had like 90 messages from Instagram, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I opened my phone. I was like, "Oh, this is hilarious!" Like I listened to the whole thing. I started dying laughing. The more I watched it, the more funny it got. And I was like, "Well, I should." Respond to this, and came up with, several different responses I could have had, but some I'm like, I'm not going to be that crass. And then others I'm like, well, I'm not going to be that nice either. So just put out something to kind of push the humor a little bit. And I think people enjoyed it. The fans enjoyed it. And she hasn't replied since. I don't know if she's wondering if maybe she should have never said anything about it, because she called out Antonina, but that's not really a hype fight. And now this is. And I think the fans want to see it. I know I'd love to fight Molly, kind of end what I consider to be her fake hype train. And she responded about that part too and was like, I'm from a hardworking place and city. I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with a hype train. We didn't say you didn't work hard. Like, she just has a hype train that's basically been stacked with a couple easy fights lately. And it's funny, like the responses I get everything from I should get a ranked opponent to she should get a ranked opponent, when I'm like, there's no way she should get a ranked opponent. And for me, yeah, I could, but I don't care about rankings. I don't think anybody does until they're ready to go on that title run, because the money doesn't always equal rankings, right? And I'm like, until I get paid to be ranked, I don't see a reason to be ranked. And I'm going to fight whoever they put in front of me. I've said no to no one so far, and a lot of people have said no to me.
And like, how does that feel, knowing that, like, again, like so many people in the sport are saying no to you because they just know how dangerous you are? So like, does that kind of give you like a, not that you need it, but a little bit more of a confidence to say, hey, yeah, man, like I'm
I
legit in this game.
suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm legitimate. I'm glad that people turn me down because it makes me look better, but I wish people would fight me. That means more money in my pocket, right?
100%.
But I do have a rough stylistic matchup for a lot of these girls. A lot of them have just weak frames, or they're just good at one subject mainly, right? They're good at striking, or they're just good at the ground game. And I think I'm somebody who comes in very well rounded. I think I have one legitimate loss in the UFC. And that was a dominant win from Erin. And I look forward to running that back someday. But the Macy Barber fight, I still don't see that as a loss. I feel like I should be in the place she is right now. And I'll get there, but I'll take my time doing it if I want to. I'm getting ready to have a new contract signed after this fight. And what fun it would be to start that off with a barn burner with Molly McCann.
Would again, just not to look forward, but do you think that that Madison Square Garden card might be the card that we might see the Miranda Maverick versus Molly McCann fight?
Yeah, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. You know, I said, you know, UFC 280 or UFC 281. I'm down for both those. As soon as I fight, I'm right back in the gym training. I'll probably take 2 weeks after this fight to go do a couple seminars and stuff like I always do. But then after that, I'm back to work. I'm working every day, several hours a day. You know, that's my full-time job, and I have other jobs too. And everybody, you know, is like, well, you're not focused on fighting. I'm like, I'm focused on a lot of things. And because I have so many other things to go to, I think it makes fighting easier for me and less stressful.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So yeah, so just to bring it back to August 20th, right? So that Molly McCann fight in the future, right? So
Yep.
that's on the horizon. But as opposed to August 20th, right? At UFC 278. Again, I'm gonna ask you the question that you're gonna get asked in a lot of interviews you do before the fight is, how do you see the fight going on August 20th?
I'm not gonna give away the whole game plan, but like I said, I think I'm better in every single spot. I'm gonna kind of take what she gives me and use it against her. You know, if she comes in there trying to just have a striking fight, she might get surprised that I have a striking fight too and beat her on the feet. And if she comes in trying to take me down, I'm gonna laugh out loud and then I'm gonna beat her butt on the ground. You know, so wherever it goes, I'm very confident. I'm very excited. I'm working some specific moves for Shanna, but most of them are just for future opponents for, you know, the championship. You know, I'm trying to learn between every single camp, and she's just another girl standing in the way of the ultimate goal. So I'll treat her as such, even though I like Shanna and I respect Shanna. And it's funny because before this fight, when she was fighting Gina Mazzani, she almost came out here to train with me. So kind of glad that didn't happen for both of our sakes.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So again, I'm looking forward to it. And Miranda, you're a busy woman, so I don't want to keep you for too long. So just again, thank you for the time. And then
Yeah.
so one last thing. Do you want to plug in all your social medias and everything that you have going on right now? So
Yeah,
people
of
can go and follow
course.
you.
So
Yeah.
thanks. I have my Twitter and my Instagram. It's at Fear the Maverick. Easy to find me under Fear the Maverick on anything, or Miranda Maverick. There's not too many of me out there. On top of that, I do have a Patreon account. It is not explicit content, but it is exclusive content. So I do training videos. I do live chats with people if they want to, or even like one-on-one trainings if they want to via that Patreon account. It's in my bio on Instagram, or you can message me to get it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a lot of sponsors. Keep a lookout on the links in my bio for all your different discount codes, from everything from meal prep to drinks to supplements.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. So again, guys, make sure to tune in and watch Miranda fight on August 20th at UFC 278. It's gonna be a good one. And once again, Miranda, thank you for the time, and
Yeah.
everyone watching, peace.